let's jump into it, Cody. Like,
Yeah, I mean, listen, let's jump in to this show. We got a little bit from Frank Wright today. He delivered his presser um, basically this morning. And he really gave a lot of great information. And I kind of wanted to talk about that with you all. And we're going to start right here. We're going to talk about David Tepper's role in all the coaching hires and basically how David Tepper was one of the driving forces that made all of the coaching hires happen. So here's Frank Reich.
For that, there's no salary cap on coaches. How beneficial, and I think you alluded to at your press conference that he was behind you on that regard. How beneficial was that financial backing as you, like, especially in Zero's case where Minnesota was, but really across the board.
Yeah, and to Mr. Tepper's credit, he never flinched on that statement. It's just not, that doesn't, he's been around the block a few times in a few ways. That doesn't mean it's open checkbook. That just means we're willing to do what it takes to get the right coaches and put the right team together. So it was a good checks and balance, but he backed up what he said. I can tell you that. And we were able to compete against other teams who were vying for similar candidates, where we came out on top because of that back.
So basically what he essentially said just there was at every moment that they wanted a certain person to be on the coaching staff, David Tepper opened up the checkbook and made sure that the number he was going to sign was going to be more than any other owner was going to pay these coaches. That's part of the reason why we have such an illustrious coaching staff right now. And he would later go on to say that, and I'll play a clip of it later, that David Tepper, they had multiple conversations for hours on end talking about every different position, who they could get to in those positions. David Tepper would sometimes bring up certain names, and everybody would essentially be doing their own vetting process. Scott Fitterer would, David Tepper would be, and Frank Reich would be doing it as well. And then they would all put their heads together and make these decisions. I think we have to give a little bit of credit to David Tepper for, I mean, listen, he wants to say that there's basement fans. Well, he showed what it's like to live in the high rise, making decisions and breaking out the checkbook for all these fantastic Carolina Panthers coaching hires. I think he deserves some credit.
Frank Wright says all the right things, or has said all the right things, and it's really the tone, temperature, temperament of his delivery that I really love. What he did is he said things like this. He said Tepper's support in the building and his support was not intrusive, but he was involved. He did not feel like he implied, he did not avoid the conversation. He did not say and make it feel like it was overbearing. And he said that he was committed to getting a coaching staff with coaches of the highest of competencies was the way he described it. And they really went and did that. But he also, Frank Reich also, he while he answered some things, they really felt fairway answers in so many good ways. He said this, it didn't mean there was a blank checkbook. He didn't mean that he was throwing around money unnecessarily. But what he was made sure that they were going to be competitive in getting guys that were the highest competencies. And what I love about this is, look, Tepper got bamboozled already. But this is the beauty. This is the beauty of having a guy with deep pockets.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely. He went out of his way to make sure that he opened up the checkbook. And frankly, he probably overpaid a little bit for just to have each and every one of these guys. But hey, if you're going to be like, the second or third richest owner in the NFL, yeah, you better be breaking out the checkbook, right, dude.
If it's successful, it doesn't matter if he ended up overpaying in the end, to be truly honest with you. If it ends up bringing us the beginnings of a dynasty or building the foundation for a team that's good for years to come, even a championship in the future, it's not overpaying. I don't feel.
Definitely.
Cody, it's your birthday?
Tomorrow.
Mañana.
Yeah.
How did I not do this? I feel like this. I thought we just celebrated your 30th birthday.
No, dude, dude,
Time
it just
flies,
it,
man.
bro.
I
it
know.
rolls around. It
Every
seems like
year, it turns out.
just
Mhm.
yesterday, it seemed like it was my birthday, but no, tomorrow I'll be 33 years old, bro.
Hell yeah.
Congratulations, man. I've really felt like we were just celebrating your 30th.
Dude,
Oh,
we were.
yeah.
We were.
Holy cow. Happy birthday
Thank
to
you,
my
man.
Will, man. Thank you so much for being a part of this show. Now, as we went and got these guys, I don't feel like he was just slinging money around. I didn't get that impression. I just felt like this is, and it really seems that if they said that Frank Reich, one of the things that he excelled in his interviews was having like really a plan about the kind of the way to fill out a coaching staff. One of the things that I told you was a very difficult part of Matt Rule coming into the NFL was not having the connections. But Jim Caldwell himself is an example of this, is how personal relationships and that history of being involved in the NFL has given them an opportunity to forge valuable relationships and earn people's respect. So even if they have to pay these guys, he's an attractive guy to work with in this case. And all of a sudden, Carolina Panthers are a destination potentially for coaches right now. And I have to believe that gives free agents and players some confidence and some solace as well. But one of the great things about this coaching staff that he's put together is not only is it remarkably experienced, but there is a certain complementary nature to it. And they asked him about this, about how the young guns and the super experienced guys, how that balance could be a positive thing. And Frank Reich, look, sometimes you need fresh, you need energy. He referenced Deuce Staley being a different type of guy. We'll talk later about Deuce Staley, but I think he was really, when they were asking about this, they were talking about Ejiro Evero and attracting that type of guy. Our offensive coordinator that we just hired for the Rams, young up-and-comers mixed with guys who've had experience. And if we go back to the Rams' success, Sean McVay, yes, young, excited, enthusiastic, up and coming, but he surrounded himself with guys, particularly on the defensive side of the ball, that balanced him and gave him experience, NFL head coaching experience. Frank Reich has got a good blend of young talent with experience. You guys speak on that a little bit.
Yeah, and today he even spoke on the fact that he doesn't want yes men in the building. He doesn't want a bunch of people that are going to tell him just the things that he wants to hear. He wants an air where everyone can speak their mind and say the things that they want to in a respectful manner. And but by the way, even going back to speaking on David Tepper breaking out the checkbook, it's not like he was paying for just anybody. Not only was it the brightest up-and-coming names in the coaching ranks in our sport, but also tenured veterans. And, if you just look at the slide that I put up here, Frank Reich's new staff has a combined 266 years of NFL experience. If you're going to overpay, these are the type of people that you overpay for. And, it really makes you feel like there is a dedication to excellence amongst this coaching staff and amongst this ownership. Go ahead, Greg.
I was just going to ask, why does Frank Reich look like a giant in that photo?
Oh, God, he does.
David Tepper is a pretty short guy.
Is he? I didn't think.
Yeah.
I thought Tepper was.
Well, I mean, what I mean by that is like you remember Frank Reich was an NFL quarterback.
Sure. So he's probably 6'4", 6'5" ish. I'd imagine.
He's got the height. I mean,
okay, that makes sense. He just looks like a giant in that photo.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I'm looking up his height right now. He's 6'4".
Yeah, I just looked it up too. 6'4".
And Tepper's probably my height. Remember when we took that picture of Tepper and myself? He's probably about my height, and I am 5'9"3/4. I like to say I'm 5'10", but my son, who's peaking at 6 foot right now, makes me feel short.
White Chocolate says happy birthday to Chris Cornell. My mom even tells me that I look like Chris Cornell. which is funny to me. But thank you very much to everybody wishing me happy birthday. But yeah, no, you were speaking about some of the younger members of our coaching staff. And listen, we've been talking about this for a while, and that is what is going to be the defensive alignment for the Carolina Panthers. And one of the things that I love about Frank Reich is he doesn't beat around the bush. He gives you straight up answers on what he
Agreed.
intends to do. So this is Frank Reich on the Panthers' brand spanking new 3-4 defense.
Mm-hmm.
Defensively, are you committed to a 3-4 then scheme?
Yeah, Ajero's been 3-4. It'll be a base 3-4 scheme, but when we get in sub, it's really multiple. It's really multiple. There's 4 down, 3 down, 5 down. It'll all depend on how Ajero and the defensive staff want to put our player, take advantage of our players' strengths. We'll be very multiple, but in our base defense, we'll be 3-4.
So there you have it, straight from the mouth of the man. The Panthers are now a 3-4 defense.
Wow.
And
what is that going to mean for this defense? I think we need to take a moment to talk about
great
that.
question. That fantastic. Well, since you brought it up, CK, let's start with you. What do you think this means for our defense going forward?
I think it means great things for Brian Burns. He's going to go back to the outside linebacker position.
Perfect.
And so that way he can switch sides. He's not going to be just a left defensive end. He's going to be able to be the Micah Parsons to our defense, right? Or what you would hope Micah Parsons or what Brian Burns would be from the get-go. But I almost wonder if this is like when you think about the way that this team is built on that defensive line. Obviously, I think it means that we need more help on the defensive tackle position than what we have. Derek Brown, I think, can hold his own, but I think that now we're gonna have to have that be a focus of getting some guys in here who are going to be able to hold their own in that position.
Right.
I don't know enough about the 3-4 defense, but I can tell you, we tried it once, and with Ron Rivera or some hybrid version of it, it didn't work out. So I'm not exactly sure what to expect, to be honest with you.
What an irony that Derek Brown felt compelled to shed some pounds.
Right, when we
this previous offseason, and now they're going to be like, "Can you beef back up, buddy?"
Yeah, we need you to eat some more Bojangles and put back on that extra 20 pounds.
Be like, no problem, guys.
Also, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, do we think that this is going to be beneficial for Brian Burns? Is the question. Like, do you think he's better in that outside linebacker position? Because I just know that, like I said, we've tried the 3-4 before. I can't remember the last time we had a 3-4, and
we were old
really well.
We were old when we did it with Rivera. That Rivera team was old.
Yeah.
Remember? Yeah. I think Cody has been saying it right about that Rivera team is that it was half-assed. It was kind of compelled.
It was a desperation move.
Yeah, it was the back end of everything. Tepper was coming from Pittsburgh. They run it. We haven't run one in 25 years, Greg. So, ever since the last time we ran a 3-4 was before John Fox took over. In
I don't remember.
2002 or something. So I think we ran one in the early 2000s or late 90s. The thing about this is, when you say how that defense is going to look, I think this is one. People tell us that Brian Burns should excel in those types of situations, and to be honest, Brian Burns should just be rushing the passer every time.
Right.
Hasn't it been annoying, at times where they've dropped, they've done different things, and you're like, man, the best pass rusher is meant to not rush the passer. So I think they'll just send him every time.
I'd be concerned with the 3-4 that they would drop him into coverage more often.
That's what I was going to ask. Yeah.
I think Luvu's going to be in that role.
Yeah,
and I don't know. I think Luvu's going to be like Hassan Reddick. Can Luvu be like Hassan Reddick, Cody?
But I think it gives you an opportunity to, Luvu and Hassan Reddick are different players in my opinion. Luvu is still an incredible player. To me, Reddick has proved himself to be a top 5 pass rusher in the NFL. Like, he's that kind of incredible. So it's hard for me to make that comparison for him yet. But overall, I think this means great things for our defense. I think it's going to mean our defensive backs are going to be far more aggressive. I think it means a lot more press man coverage and manning guys up at the line of scrimmage. But also, because we're doing that, I think it's going to give our defensive front seven the ability to be much more aggressive, get after them, beat up on them. You know, when you have these NFL offenses that are putting up so many points every year, they're dropping back most of the time. Well, put your guys with an ability to pin their ears back, put them on the edges, and let them go and get the quarterback and get back to playing kick your ass Panther defensive football. I think this is a great thing for us.
I'm going to ask a question, but I'll tell you before I ask this question, the one player I'm most excited about this move for is Amari Barno. We're going to see this speed guy. This guy, by the way, has the fastest 40 time of any
defensive end ever.
Defensive
Did he run like a
in the
4.3
NFL
or something?
Yeah,
like
it was ridiculous. So we have like a guy. Like, that's the thing, is we have a guy. And so I think that could be helpful. But do you feel like this transition leaves somebody on the outs with this defense?
Anyone in particular?
Yeah, anyone in particular.
On the outs, man. I don't know. I mean, again, we're kind of having this discussion about Jeremy Chin and what position he's going to end up being. There's been a lot of talks on whether he's a safety, a linebacker. Thomas Davis even thinks that Jeremy Chin should get some snaps at linebacker, because that's what they did to him. He was drafted as a safety out of Georgia and ended up becoming a linebacker. It does add a lot more nuance to this now that you have the two inside linebackers and the two outside linebackers, because those two outside linebackers are going to act as primary pass rushers on second and third down. So, what are you going to do? Are you going to put Shaq Thompson and Jeremy Chin on the inside? Is that where Brandon Smith goes? If you put him at outside linebacker, do you feel comfortable with Chin rushing the passer?
It's going to be Luvu, dude. Luvu is 6'3", 236. Hassan Reddick is 6'1", 240.
Yeah, but
I don't know if, and he gets back a lot. He's been strong against the run. He hasn't played lean or light. I think he can, if you are ready to put him out there as a regular linebacker in so many ways, in whatever position you put. And I'll defer to a lot. I'll defer to the chat. I'm not saying I've got it figured out, but I think that Luvu, just from me looking at how he's made plays, that he's a great guy to fit into that type of scheme, because you could then drop him back into coverage more. The question is, Luvu fast enough to cover? I guess maybe.
That's the thing. I don't know if he's nimble enough to be a pass rusher. Like we were talking about yesterday, Tony, with Tyree Wilson, you have to be able to bend the edge. And, you have to have flexible hips. You have to be able to move your body reasonably well. And to me, Luvu is just shot out of a cannon. He sees a gap, attacks the gap, and makes a tackle. And we love that about him. I could easily see them putting him as an inside linebacker as well. Just getting him in, by the A and B gaps and just letting him dominate the run game. And that's what we're going to have to really look out for, because in recent years, the Panthers have not done a good job defending against the run.
Right.
And traditionally, 3-4 defenses, they aren't always the best at defending against the run. So it'll be interesting to see how that aspect of our defense continues to evolve now that we are a true 3-4.
Well, and he also said this. He said, remind that's the base defense. You're in it like 20 to 40% of the time, which really means on first and second down or something to that. Is that when you think of, if you're only in that defense 20% of the time, that's 1 out of 4 downs in theory.
Yeah.
But that is kind of how you build your defense from there out, in a sense. And we don't know what this team will look like after free agency and also the draft, but we do. I think YGM potentially is the person on the outs in that system
I can
right?
see
And
that.
Probably so.
the chat's bringing this up a lot. So as we continue to talk about schematic diversity, we have also filled out our coaching staff. It's tell me, and I should not. I had his name written down. I just have been busy today. Thomas, the Rams guy. Tell us about our offensive coordinator. And also, we've been wondering because we brought in Jim Caldwell. Many people thought that we learned today he would be in an advisory capacity. It sounds like a really interesting and cool role that he will be very comfortable in. But then Frank Wright, the question is, will Frank Wright be calling the plays? And we did make an offensive coordinator hire. Let's go ahead and what Frank Wright has to say about this.
I went into the process of,
Yeah, so this is on who will be calling plays for the Carolina Panthers.
thinking about calling plays, not calling plays. There is going to be some point that I'm going to pass it off. I know that's going to be hard. And I've been laughing. I've laughed with Thomas about that already. I said, I'm going to pass it off at some point. I don't know when, but, and I think there will be a time and a place, and I think it'll become apparent when that is. But, I think the right thing for me to do for our team and for our offense right now is for me to continue to kind of use my experience there, but draw on. I'll lean heavy on Thomas. I can already tell. It's been a couple days, and I've already leaned on him hard on a couple things. I had a long meeting with him this morning, and I felt wisdom, conviction, strength. So that relationship is going to be really good.
I tell you this, Cody, real quick, is that Frank Wright when he said, I've been laughing with Thomas Brown about this, who's the offensive coordinator. I just kind of feel like if I was Thomas Brown and you're like in a job or somewhere where someone is clearly of a higher position that you have to defer to, it's like one of those jokes. He's like, I'm going to pass it, nudging and laughing. And you're like, yeah.
yeah. I mean, look, personally, I like this. I'm really excited about Thomas Brown, and partly because so many Rams fans were very upset to see him go. He was the tight ends coach for the Rams. He won a Super Bowl with them. But the reason why I do like what he said is because Thomas Brown has never called plays before, at least not as an offensive coordinator, at least not to my knowledge. I didn't see anything about that. So the fact that Frank Reich has the ability to do so, and again, the fact that for the first time ever, the Panthers are going to have our head coach calling plays on offense, to me, that's absolutely perfect. And then together they can collaborate and decide on what's best for the offense. I'm sure when they're going through installs, Thomas Brown is going to have a very large say-so on what we're running and when we run it. And I'm pumped for that, man. I really think that Thomas Brown was a great hire. And again, it was partly because of all the upset Rams fans that I saw that didn't want to see him leave. And Sean McVay wanted to retain Thomas Brown, but he couldn't do it since him being promoted to an offensive coordinator. He's not going to stop his guy from being promoted, and rightfully so. And by the way, shout out to P Dubs with the $20 love bomb. He says, get with it, cuz we're winning the division next year with a 3-4. Keep effing pounding. Shout out P Dubs. Appreciate you, brother. I like this, and I like the answer. What say you guys?
CK, I was going to ask you about this. Is like Cody was saying, this kind of easing him in. This really feels like a mentorship role.
Yeah.
For Frank Reich. And here's the thing is that Frank Reich has not only had experience calling plays on a Super Bowl team with the Philadelphia Eagles, he's also had experience calling the plays as a head coach. And if sitting a quarterback in his rookie year helps develop and ease them in and put them in situations for success, could this not be a really good thing for Thomas Brown to be eased into? Maybe 1 week he's starting to write the script, next week, or like in the team feels in a good place. Maybe you're winning and things like this, and you can bring him in a place where he can succeed and feel confident rather than it going bad, being in over your head, and all of a sudden the blame going to you.
Yeah, no, I think there is going to be some benefit there. I think there's not enough. I just don't know enough about what he would be calling as a play caller for this. So it's hard for me to be able to make a judgment about that. But I do think that Frank Reich gives me a tremendous amount of confidence that he's going to be able to call plays effectively. And the fact is that it does seem like it's something that he's willing to give the reins back over to him if in fact that time does come, which hopefully it does, show. I mean, I would like to see Thomas have an opportunity to show what he's made of, and if he's able to come in here and innovate. But Frank Reich, I'm perfectly fine with him taking over this role, and I think it's the best thing for this team right now.
Greg, he spoke on this, is that this coaching staff has a diversity of offensive experience. Of diversity of experience. You have 2 head coaches, successful head coaches, and Reich. Then you have Jim Caldwell. You've had the first Carolina Panthers head coach in the history of the team with Don Capers, who is now going to be a mentor to Ejiro Evero. And Frank Reich was clear to say this was not a sentimental hire, but this was a hire because of how good of a relationship he has with Ejiro Evero, and also how important of his experience and capability and ability is. He also referenced Josh McCown being the quarterback's coach, and the real attribute that he brings is that he spent a long time, even longer than Reich in the NFL, as a player, but he also played in different offensive schemes as a player. What I love when Cody said that he was clear that he wasn't a yes man, Greg, I feel like these answers show a like a confidence in his ability to where he's not threatened by other people's abilities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a lot of it comes from experience. It's the exact opposite of what we just came from, which makes it so much more refreshing. But yeah, like you said, I think that you're right. He's the kind of guy who said he doesn't want a yes man, but he's also not going to be run over. Like, this is going to be run his way, and he has enough experience with himself and through the coaches and players that he has, that I don't think you're going to have to worry about issues within the ranks of coaches trying to overthrow Frank Reich or trying to go different direction than he is. I think this is going to be a good blend of coaches right here. I think between the experience and the young that you have, it's a perfect combo. And it's, like I said, it's the exact opposite of what we just kind of came from. So I think Tepper tried to catch lightning in the bottle, his first couple of years and do what nobody said you could do and show you can win, kind of a teenage mentality mindset going into it. And I guess he was kind of like a teenage owner, if you look at it like that. Now he's learned, and it looks like he's going in the right direction. And I like the way that, this experience with this roster.
Greg, or Cody, Greg said that this feels like a complete 180 from what we came from. I can't agree more, right, than with what I'm like. I feel 100. I'm 100% in accordance with Greg. And the thing that really stuck out to me, Cody, is he said, last night, McCown, Josh, and I sat around for 2 hours real late talking ball. And when he said it like that, I was like, these guys really know football. I don't know if I ever truly believed if Matt Rule truly knew football much better than rather informed people.
Oh yeah, and so by the way, I was writing my comments for Draft Tech today, and I wrote this sentence. Basically how how David Tepper needed to course correct, and how he did so by going from a coaching staff filled with Matt Rule's college cronies to a coaching staff that has 11 Super Bowl rings amongst them. Like, the feel from Matt Rule and Frank Reich, in my opinion, is night and day. They seem competent. They seem to have a plan. They seem to know what they're doing. And for the things that they don't know, they seem to have a plan on how to address it, on how to go about fixing the quarterback position or fixing whatever it is on the team, because they have such a wealth of knowledge amongst all the coaches to be able to draw from. So I echo the same sentiment as you, Tony. I don't know if I've ever felt this assured in a Panthers coaching staff since maybe after 2015. Ever. Right, but then I thought we were bringing back a Super Bowl coaching staff. But when you compare apples to apples and oranges to oranges, this is absolutely a very, very impressive coaching staff for the Carolina Panthers.
I was talking with CK before you guys hopped on, and I told him, I said, I've never felt more at ease with a staff. And look, and I'm not trying to get overexcited. I don't want to be rose. Look, I know rose-colored glasses is like, oh, I'm not saying like these guys are destined to have 100% success, but I've never felt, and I'm talking about, I've witnessed 3 coaching eras, right? I've watched the John Fox era. I've watched the Ron Rivera era. Then I watched the Matt Rule era. And out of all 3, I've never really felt as more comfortable with that. This guy feels fully capable. Sometimes you were just like, this is like, I mean, Ron started slow. We didn't know, he hadn't been a head coach before. And it's not that I didn't trust him. That's not what I'm trying to say, is I just have like a calm. It's almost like if you're riding in the car. My son turned 15 last week. He got his driver's permit yesterday. He drove himself, like he can drive me around now. He's doing fine. But if you're a passenger in a car with a guy who you don't like ride with, hasn't a lot of experience, you're kind of nervous a little bit. Frank Reich, I feel like I could go take a nap in the back of the car and wake up and we're fucking in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, you feel comfortable delegating all the important decision-making tasks to him. He seems like the adult in the room. It's the difference between a guy who has been there, done that, versus a guy like Matt Rule who was pretending to have been there and done that.
Yeah, and he can work with people, Cody. He just came from an organization that has an owner who's in the top 5 of crazies of NFL owners, right? Yeah. Jim Irsay. And then they have a GM who has been known for being a power monger. And he was able to successfully navigate and work with those guys. And now he's coming into this situation. He feels like this. I bet you Scott Fitterer is breathing easy. It seems like he can talk with Tepper and Tepper respect but not run him over too. I've never felt more at ease. I don't know why. I hope I'm not just putting the rose-colored glasses on, but I tell you, it just seems like he belongs there.